Hey, everybody. I'm playing catch up because I did have a weekend and I'm having to recap for the past few days that I kind of missed making my posts. So I'm going to do it today. And I'm going to start off by saying that I appreciate if you are here watching. I would appreciate also if you would comment, like, and subscribe so that you can stay in tune with my journey. Just to recap again, that these self discipline videos are a vulnerable, transparent time where I'm talking through my walk and becoming more, um, I guess, more improved as far as self discipline, which in turn will help me be able to manage my goals and succeed in them and to continue thriving in life. And so I'm just here to share my story as a way of holding me accountable. If this is your first video watching of me, there are some previous videos where I go into all types of information in regards to self discipline, benefits, key aspects. I even talk about different experiences that I've had as far as like dieting. And there will be many more topics that I'll bring into each of my videos to kind of share with you towards the end, middle, or during the time that I review my monthly goals. We're almost at the end of the month of May. So I'm going to jump right into sharing with you guys what my May goals are and how I'm actually maneuvering and progressing towards those goals. So stay tuned. All right, so let me go ahead and jump into what my May 2025 goals are. There are a total of six. The first one is to earn at least $2,000 on a supplementary income that I have. The goal number two is to pay off a Chase credit card. 1384 is what the balance was at the beginning of this month. Goal number three is to lose at least 10 pounds. My starting weight is 239. That was when I weighed myself in April the 27th. Goal number four is to read or start a SQL course on Microsoft to advance skill. Goal number five, read, study, and meditate on discipline. And goal number six, implement discipline in all areas of my life. So let me go ahead and jump start into how I've made progress on the first goal. This is what I have been using to keep track of how much I'm making each day. And each day on the video, I add in the current day to share with you guys how I'm progressing on this goal. So you can see the first week I was able to earn a total of $370 from this income, which gives me a remaining balance of $1629. And I think at that point, I divided that by four to give me an idea of how much money I would be aiming towards earning the following weeks to be able to meet or exceed the goal. And it was 407. Then next week, last week, I was able to actually earn money for 5 days of that week. Even considering that on Saturday I had to go out of town for Mother's Day weekend, I was able to earn a total of $369, not quite where I wanted to be from that first week to the second week, but still in a pretty good place to where I'm able to meet my goal. And so that gives me a remaining amount to earn 1260 for the following 3 weeks. So then again, I took 1260 divided by 3, and that still gives me around a little bit on the higher end of $400 more that I have to earn on average each week. Well, now we're into this current week. I was able to earn money on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then along the way on those, if you look at the previous videos, I was aiming to earn at least $100 today. Well, let's see how I did. Shy of $30 I was. It was not quite the typical Friday as I would say. But that happens, and what do? You just adjust to what you have. So I'm going to do the math right now to give a good idea of where I'm going to be for the following weeks. Hopefully, if I'm able to earn something tomorrow, because again, I have a weekend event, a wedding on Saturday, and I'll be returning back on Sunday. And I won't be able to earn money from this venture until Tuesday for the following week. But let's just see where I'm at. So 1260 plus 80, or sorry, let me do it this way. Let me just calculate everything for this week. 8140 plus 50.75 plus 56.26 plus 40.74 plus 71.88. I'm at $301. So if I was to subtract that from the 1260, That brings me a little bit below $1,000 that I have to earn. So my goal is to still aim for Saturday, if at all costs, as close as I can get to that 100. It's just going to make it much, much, much easier on me as far as the remaining amount. So I did kind of want to go back and kind of look at whether this goal was reasonable for me by tracking or seeing how much I was able to earn so far this year by the month. So this chart here shares with you how much money I've earned from this particular income or or supplementary income. So as you can see in January, I earned a total of $888.56. So that's like right below $1,000. Then all the other months, I actually earned over $1,000, with March being my most earned month. I was able to earn very close to $2,000. And so May, as you can see, this is where I'm at right now, and I'm already over earning $1,000. So with that being said, I only have less than $1,000 left to go, which is still reasonable for 2 weeks. I have the next 2 weeks, including the whatever I make tomorrow is just going to make it that much easier. So I still feel like it's reasonable just looking at this chart. You can see that I've almost earned $1,000 each month. So that's a total of additional $5,000 onto my paycheck that I make from my main job, annual income. So if I keep this consistency with this, I should have a pretty good amount of additional funds added onto my income. Going on to goal number 2, I am due to actually make another payment. I've already made a first payment towards this, but bring me down to $922. And I actually I have to go do some reworking on my budget and such. I know I had some expenses for this weekend wedding event that I had to budget for, just like I did for the Mother's Day weekend. And so hopefully I should have enough to go ahead and pay that before the end of this week, or I will let you guys know where I'm at with that. Goal number 3, lose at least 10 pounds. I started out at 239. Then on May the 1st, I was at 237. May the 4th, 235.2 pounds. And then May the 11th, I was right at my projected weight of 233.8 pounds, which gives me a remaining amount of 4.8 to lose, which over the course of 3 weeks, that's a little bit over a pound and some decimal amount to lose for that. So I'm excited. This is Friday. I have Saturday, Sunday to kind of see where my weight. Sunday will be my next weigh in, and I will share with you guys the video and clip of that. Goal number 4, it was to start out this SQL course on Microsoft. And I actually just kind of pressed pause on this one, but I actually did meet the goal. But my goal beyond the goal is to actually continue it. And so I'm behind on it as far as like continuing this and actually completing it. So I'm gonna have to spend some time regrouping and reassessing and re-strategizing how I can utilize some time within my daily routine. I know I mentioned on several previous videos that I'm going to look at my work schedule and try to embed in some time, which I actually already did last week. I actually created a routine, and it was just like a block of time, like maybe the first hour of work I spend it towards education, and this could be included in that. And then the middle part, I have meetings and other things I have to work on. And then the ending part is where I work on something else. So I split it up like that. But just try to give myself some help with progressing on this. Reading and studying about and meditating on discipline is important, especially since I'm trying to implement discipline. I want to learn more about it. I want to study about it. I want to be able to meditate on some of the things I study about. So the past 2 weeks, I was able to come up or actually find a statement that resonated with me during my studies. And the first statement comes from The Power of Self-Discipline book by Daniel Walter, and it's linked below. And it shows the importance of self-discipline, how far self-discipline can take you, even if you may not be the most intelligent or the most talented. If you have self-discipline in whatever you are attempting to do, it can take you further than that most intelligent and talented person. And if you are the most intelligent and talented person and you don't have self-discipline, you will stand a chance of not even rising above mediocrity. So you'll be a hindrance to yourself and not really reaching your full potential, even though you are talented and educated. So self-discipline is very important no matter what your skill set is. That's what resonates with me. It's a constant reminder to me that this is something important and I want to continue working on, because this statement right here says it all. And then last week, I pulled this from my studies online, even though the book does continue talking about this, about how to build strong willpower. Well, you take your behaviors and you find which ones can you create into a routine. Then out of that routine, what can become a habit? So when you have a routine and a habit, it makes things easily done. So if you get in the habit of doing something, you're not having to put much effort towards doing it because you've gotten yourself into the routine of doing it. For example, my habit that I would want to establish is going to the gym, being conscious about what I'm eating, and aware of the calories and how that affects me and my weight and so forth, and be able to maintain. Same thing with paying your bills and things like that. I want to be able to have a better habit about, which kind of relates to this third one for this week, pay myself first. Make spending, prioritize saving before spending, so it becomes a non-negotiable. So a lot of times I know I negotiate the fact of whether I'm able to save. Instead of me taking my first and putting it towards saving, I'm normally taking the last of what's left after paying all the bills. I know I have to pay all my bills, but some of the stuff that I've noticed, even with tracking my spending, and I shared that on a previous video titled Track Your Spending, I noticed that I'm doing a lot of frivolous spending that could have very well went towards saving. So all of my money is not necessarily going towards bills. Some of it is just going towards sporadic spending that could have very well much have been my savings. So I'm going to work towards that and doing better with that. Implementing discipline in all areas of my life. The first week, I was able to share how I did this mentally by being aware of myself and taking breaks necessarily and walking, rejuvenating myself by going to the gym, and limiting my exposure on social media and turning off notifications. And then in my career at work, I use a work log and a priority list, and I have nice little charts that kind of track over the weeks and over the days how many hours I'm spending on different tasks, and they're categorized. It's like awesome. And then like my priority list, it shows different things that I'm working on, like in progress, things that I've resolved, things that I have to reassign, whatever the status of those things are. It gives me a count, and it's like a line chart with all those on there. It just lets me know how I'm managing my time at work. And so that's building self-discipline for me. And then finance wise, this is where I'm gearing towards. Several of my videos this week have been geared towards finances. So I guess what jump started it was Mother's Day weekend. I budgeted for that, and I noticed that I went over my budget. And I was like, you know, I want to see how much I've actually spent on certain things for the past month since January. And I did a video where I shared all of my different spendings that I did related to food, anything outside of bills pretty much. And I noticed that in 1 month, on one of those months, I spent close to $2,000 on just like going to the store and buying stuff. And so that opened up my eyes to how I could be more disciplined. However, I am working towards implementing discipline in my finances. There's always room to improve. So in the areas of that, that's where I actually implemented discipline for that first week. And then this week, tomorrow, I'll be sharing with you how I implemented discipline in the areas of my body. I did a video maybe like a day or two ago where it talks about ways in which you can, or ways in which I can implement discipline in my body in physical, recreation, organization. And as I was going through that, I was already sharing some of the things that I've done that kind of fits within those categories. So tomorrow I'll share again, as a final part of this week, how I implemented discipline in those areas of my life. Then next week, I'll talk about my heart. And then the following week, the last week of this month, I'll talk about soul. So here are my goals. There's 6 of them, and I use a SMART goal template. There's a video earlier on that talks about that. There are several videos that kind of talks about it in detail. And so far, since I'm getting close to the end of this month, with 2 more weeks left, so far I've actually met 1 out of the 6 goals so far, because I actually did start on the SQL course on Microsoft to advance my skill, but I'm just not going as far as what I would have wanted to do. But the goal did say to start, and I actually did that. So that's 1 out of 6. Now I want to share again my wedding weekend, because I'll be leaving out of town tomorrow, or I'm leaving out of town. So I did share in the previous video that I was able to buy a dress and shoes for less than what I budgeted for. So that already puts me below the budget. So on the next video, I know I'm doing a recap of Friday, but on the next video, I will share what I spent on the weekend and whether I went over budget or under budget. Well, that is all for this video today. As far as my goals and how I'm progressing on them, I shared with you a little bit more detail on the trend of how much I was able to earn on my secondary income since the beginning of this year, to kind of get a good grasp on whether or not that goal number 1 is reasonable, to try to earn $2,000. And it showed that in March, I actually almost made $2,000. So aiming to make $2,000 this month is not far-fetched, even with the fact that you can see on the chart that I'm already at 1,000. I'm already over $1,000. So I just have a little less than $1,000 left to go to meet that goal of 2,000. And I still have tomorrow. I still have the next 2 weeks. So with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I have several things linked below if you're interested in looking into those. And I will see you guys on the next video.